1, 2, 3. I'm in.
Breaking into telephone companies, hacking simplex locks.
I might have stole more than one.
Yeah, I think I'll stick around.
Welcome to the Hashtime Show, your weekly source for cyber news and info. This is episode number 14. On today's show, Dave, Chris, and Jeff welcome guest Ben Johnson to discuss physical penetration testing and review new variations of wardialing. Check us out online at hashtimeshow.com. And now, on to the show.
Welcome back to the Hashtime Show. I'm your host, Chris Vincent, and sitting across the table from me is
You'll get it.
From me,
No, we won't.
Is Jeff Marshall and Dave Norland once again.
What's up?
And this week, we're welcoming special guest, Ben Johnson. Welcome, Ben.
Hey, thank you for having me.
If you don't already know, the Hashtime Show is your weekly source for cybersecurity news and info, where we discuss everything InfoSec. Right, Jeff?
If they don't know, they should.
Now you know.
And
If you
now
don't
they will.
know, now you know. All right, great. So we have Ben on today. Ben is our chief security architect here at Data Shield, and he's kind of like the mastermind of security. Would you say that's right, Ben?
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. Maybe just delved into it a little bit too long and my brain's gotten a little mushy.
So we want to have Ben on to talk about a special topic today. But before we get to that, why don't you give us a little bit of your backstory?
Backstory as it relates to since I grew up as a little kid, or just
Yeah, you can go
what
deep.
brought me into this crazy computer
Yeah,
shit.
Go do whatever you want. You can talk about audio equipment if you want. I love that. So
Oh yeah, we'll keep it to computers.
Okay,
So,
all right.
Thank
I
God.
guess I'll start down there at like
Deep cuts on the Hashtime Show.
the old Commodore 64 and VIC-20 days. Really young, 8 years old, I think. Really started diving into the computer scene that probably defined the rest of my life. Bring me closer to 92, and then I found myself in Las Vegas at a conference called DEF CON, and now 27 years later, it's been something I've done every year. So kind of natural fit in InfoSec and IT. I've done, as part of my career, I've done things like database administration. I've been CISO roles. I've been security architect for large banks, and now here at Data Shield.
I almost feel like you should be like chief hacking officer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's hard to pick those kind of crazy
Is
titles.
that cheese bally? Yeah, it's not cheese bally.
I'm the cheese ball. I love stupid titles, so I think it works. Kevin, that's Kevin Mitnick's title for before, right? Chief Hacking Officer.
Yeah, I think it was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did. I want a Chief Detection Officer, and everybody told me I was crazy.
Chief threat hunting officer. Well, so that kind of answers my question. How you got into cyber? You're sort of born as a cybersecurity guy.
Yeah, I got into, I guess, before DEF CON, and when I really found myself in the cybersecurity world was, and I guess you wouldn't call it cybersecurity at the time, but it was really through bulletin board systems, as part of the hacker, virus, anarchy, freak type stuff we called at the time, HPAV. So, that really connected the dots between the people I know today and what got me involved in, the hacking scene.
Got it. Okay. So I want to ask you an off-ball question. You're very immersed in technology. We talked a lot when we were out in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you see that's emerging right now? It could be in InfoSec, or it might just be in computers. What technology is emerging that really is grabbing your interest right now?
I don't think there's one single technology that's emerging that's grabbing my attention. Going back to the things that I think drove me to liking computers, in the past to today was really just being fascinated with the smallest things, and now today you look anywhere around you and everything is getting smaller and more complicated. It's faster. There's computers everywhere you look. Everything is becoming connected. So I don't think there's any one thing, technology-wise that's makes things greater than the other. If you look at InfoSec type stuff and maybe what we do, I think emerging technologies there are more towards AI, and I don't think anybody's actually, solved those complex problems yet in a way that can, replace our standard security operations type roles.
Got it.
But I think we're going to see it coming. But no, really, it's the little blinky lights, it's the teeny computers, it's the new. There was I can't remember what article it was I was reading, but there was these new micro displays that are, on the scale of 10,000 PPI, but we're going to start seeing little displays, in the size of a millimeter grain. That
You heard
it's
it here,
just
folks.
technology.
Ben loves flashy lights.
I like flashy lights.
So before we get on to some of your other paths, we're going to talk about that as our segment of the week. Since I'm an audio nerd, you worked at JBL Harman. Anything interesting from that experience there? You did 2 stints there, right?
Yeah. So one of the I guess most memorable, besides sitting there working in the computer room and having random artists like Ministry come in and be introduced, I was involved with one of the companies we had was called DBX. They produced DSPs, sound processing type equipment. I'm sure you're familiar with it. The DBX 4800 line was being developed, and since it had an IP stack in it because we were doing CobraNet over IP, I got the opportunity to be involved with the engineering staff there to basically pick apart the TCP/IP stack, the kernel, find out if there was any problems with it, vulnerability-wise, and then in turn I got 2 DBX 4800s given to me that were almost standard production DBX models minus 1 DSP. But I still have those today. Still use them with my
Those in the bus?
speakers.
Those are the ones in the bus, right?
I keep one in the bus. Sometimes when I used to have a club in my basement, so it was kind of mixed.
Those hit you in the chest, right? When they fire.
Those were just the DBX 4800 is just these rack
racks, yeah,
signal
but
processing systems. But then the JBL speakers, yeah, they're the big boys.
But the drive, the amperage, the push of that's pretty big, from what I understand.
Yeah, it's 136 SPL. 4,000 watts apiece.
This is some technical pod.
Hammers you. Yeah, sorry. On back,
Diving from freaking and hacking all the way to audio.
back into cybersecurity.
I recall a story. Didn't you tell me? Was that the model that ended up getting like leaked or hacked, and they made copies of it or something?
That was another Digitech line, actually. So we were producing.
Shout out to Digitech. Makes great guitar pedals.
Oh, yeah. So take it a step back, I guess. Being involved in manufacturing and the audio industry, and especially at a time when we were outsourcing different product lines in China to be basically put together, built, we had this particular Digitech line that had these, particular CPUs we developed in the States. We made sure that we took precautions to keep those things from being duplicated, in the way of like epoxies in a shell and shipping those components separate to our production line in China. Well, that had been going on for a few years. One of our support guys came to us in IT, some time ago, and said, "Hey, look on eBay and see if you can find some of these pieces of equipment, because we got a call coming in from a major customer who says, we need support on this stuff," but they weren't the guys that originally bought it. So we did some more research. I don't know that we ever found out exactly how this was done, but we imagine there was a duplicate Chinese production line probably in the same facility, but they were basically copying this certain product and reselling it back on eBay, direct from China. It was 100% identical, used most of the same components. Particularly interesting was this DSP/CPU that we developed in the U.S., so we have to assume that there was some partnership at least between the production line and whoever we were shipping these DSPs to.
So it had the same logos and everything on it?
Yeah, everything's the same. So we actually had the customer send these devices back to us, and there was nothing different besides the composition of the paint on the actual chassis, because we had the chassis painted in Mexico and then shipped. So it was different paint composition. Otherwise, 100% identical.
About that time, too, was when they were having all the problem at Cisco, right? And chips getting duplicated, and all of a sudden they had this rash of T1 cards that went out, and you're like, the card doesn't work, and somehow they eventually tied it back to these are all fraudulent cards.
And they make fake iPhones over there and everything else.
Oh, yeah, it's
kinda crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, very interesting. I'm sure we could pick your brain forever, but I want to get into our topic of the week, which is physical penetration testing.
Ooh, fun.
AKA breaking into places.
Breaking and entering.
I know you have a little bit of a background in this. I listened to another cyber podcast called Darknet Diaries, and Jack's his name. He has a ton of red team pen testers on that go through these really cool stories that walk you through. And it's also some hacking too, and so it's interesting. Tell me a little bit about your background in that space and kind of some of your experience.
Yeah, so it's been some years. I've been involved with multiple consulting firms where we've done, in particular, telecom facilities, physical penetration testing. That's pretty much where it was at.
It is what it is. So I always find it fascinating. It's you're doing it as a red team member. You're doing it legally-ish, but it's kind of illegal because you're breaking and entering, right?
Yeah, and there's a component to it that's a little bit scary because not always are your local security guards or other facilities people told that these kind of activities are happening.
At all.
Yeah.
It just might be the CIO and that's
So it's
it.
usually, if you do get caught, fortunately we never had an incident where we got caught by any facilities people. We were able to just return the reports over to them and, what was said is done.
Yeah, I've heard him talk. So he had one guy on that was able to break in like at a real high level. They finally got caught. But he had another team on, a gal, and so a lot of social engineering goes into this, right? I mean, you say that's the most important part of physical pen testing is being able to social engineer.
Yeah. So some of the first things we look for when we go to larger facilities, and again, this was a few years ago, but one common component to telcos was the use of simplex locks.
Okay.
And simplex locks were generally they're just a 4 to 5 button combination. They don't take more than 30 minutes or so just sitting there next to them and just trying all the combinations. So we knew that was a common standard practice in most telcos. When that didn't exist, then you look for stupid mistakes like doors propped open that are fire escapes because you have smokers or other people that use these things and they like to, prop them open so they can get back in and out. Many buildings we found that way. If you don't find that, then it absolutely comes to social engineering. You go up to the front security office in many cases and you find yourself, a U.S. West hat or something, and you put on a little printed badge that says you're an employee, and then you have a little conversation. And
You act as if.
in many cases, they let you right in.
So this recent show, he had a gal and a guy on. They did so it's very puckery for them. That's a new word I'm using is puckery. When you get like you're puckered up, you're getting concerned.
It's kind of a theme of the
That's great.
podcast.
That's very this is a very
The other word I learned today too is Gucci.
I actually forgot to do my preface at the beginning of this show for those listeners out there. Too late now. This is one of our more could be construed as offensive podcasts, NSFW. So if you are easily offended, maybe you should just turn it off right now.
Buckle up.
Buckle up.
So they were tasked to break into a manufacturing plant in Mexico. So different country, different laws. And the gal was talking about one of the big techniques she uses. She has a fake pregnancy suit she wears as a way to piggyback and tailgate people. So
We never tried that.
So her comment was people are a lot less likely to be like, hey, where's your badge? You need to scan in if she's pregnant. Oh, can you get the door for me,
That
please?
worked for me. I'm a pregnant male. Leave me alone.
It's 2019.
We're in the movie Junior.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So she used that, and then the way they got into this place, they didn't even have to break in. They fished this guy, said they were from the company, and that he was doing some philanthropic stuff down there in Mexico, some charity. And they, we love your charity. We're from headquarters. We want to, talk to you more. And they invited him right in the building, just completely fished and didn't have to do any kind of breaking and entering at all. And they were able to, get into the network and do all the other stuff once they were in.
Social engineering is not really phishing.
Yeah. Social engineering.
Well, they sent a phishing email, if you will, to get them started. Yeah.
You look back and it's a little more difficult sometimes today, maybe not so much. I mean, we've tried for many years now to push, security awareness training, get people to understand what, how to see a social engineer. Doesn't seem to have done a lot of work or a lot of help in that area, but that's, I think, probably the most common way you do get into these buildings, or when you're getting access to really anything, is social engineering.
Yeah.
Because you can, put as much money as you want in technology, and it takes one mistake.
Okay.
So
the takeaway is, you got to be a little bit more of a dick, I guess. Hey, I don't care if you're pregnant, you need to badge in.
Yeah. Well, and it goes more than that. So if you can't get the social engineering part done, then there's still many different ways to get into facilities or get access to sensitive locations or access to data, even potentially, or networks in an environment that sometimes don't even require access to the facilities, right? It's breaking into telecom vaults. It's, it's not too hard to get into most facilities, no matter what technology they've got in place.
I sometimes try to use my position to see if people hold the door open for me or badge in for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make sure that they force me to badge in.
You're really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, some analysts in the SOC the other day were like, hey, you're tailgating, you need to badge in. They were sort of joking, but they were sort of serious, so I badged in.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems.
No, they were dead serious.
They seemed pretty serious to me.
They were armed and ready.
They're like, who's this long-haired Hawaiian shirt wearing guy? So I guess just to close this off, like what's one takeaway or one tip that most people miss from a physical penetration standpoint that they need to shore up in their organization? What's the kind of the top one from your experience?
I think aside from social engineering, it's laziness. I mean, really, a lot of these facilities, even facilities with what would be considered fairly high-grade physical security systems, it's lack of maintenance and laziness. So you'll see video cameras that are dirty, exposed cables that are easy to cut, exposed cables even that go to magnetic locking systems, malfunctioning devices. I mean, it's neglect and laziness, I think. The propped open doors,
So laziness, social engineering and laziness, you need to quit being lazy.
Yeah.
Okay. And that makes sense. That's kind of the same stuff they talked about on Dark Knight Diaries. Okay. You guys have anything to add on that?
I do have a story.
Do you, Dave?
I don't think I've told it on the podcast before, but we used to work in a different location here at Data Shield, and of course we're in
you have told this one.
Have I told this on the podcast before?
You have.
I have. Okay, I won't repeat it then.
No, tell it again. Because
I haven't heard it.
We get new listeners every week.
Okay.
Trust me, I checked.
If you've already listened, please turn this podcast off.
Yeah. I don't want to retell this.
kidding.
But,
No,
anyway,
tell it again.
Okay.
Because I forgot.
We had a front door to the building, not the SOC, just to be clear. And there was a gentleman who'd go outside and smoke all the time. And
Dirty smokers.
yeah, nothing against that, but he would forget his card. So he had a branch in the bush nearby that was like the branch. And he found out he could shimmy it in between the doors and trip the motion sensor on the back side facing inwards. Usually the one that would trip as you're walking out. But he realized he could unlock it that way and get back into the building if he ever forgot his card.
Yeah.
And my apologies if that was a repeat, but
No,
I don't
it's
think that was a
story.
repeat, Jeff.
No, we talked about it on a couple of podcasts.
Did we? Okay.
okay.
But see, it's the
I thought it
smokers
was.
again. That's exactly, and again, nothing against smokers. I smoke, but it's that laziness, open and side doors, trying to get back into the building, and then you forget that you put a little, something in the way, and next thing you know, somebody finds it.
Yeah, we had a pen test that our board had scheduled against us at one point that was pretty interesting. That we had luckily just rolled out a very, very detailed NAC solution, network access control solution, and required certificates and all kinds of stuff for you to physically plug into the network. And they couldn't break in, so one of our VPs let them into a physical remote building, and the guys unplugged a printer, and the second they plugged in and started scanning the network, our NAC system went bananas, and we called the police on them.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, another story here from my military days. We have these things called ORIs, so operational readiness inspections or whatever. I forget exactly. But they basically come and try to force you to mess up on your procedures. So working in like the network side, we had a server room and access was restricted. So this is a security review that they're trying to basically force us to mess up and force us to circumnavigate procedures that we have in place because of the rank of the people coming in. And so it's this big mind game.
Like, I'm your general. I got to do what I say.
That is exactly
That's
scenarios.
exactly the method I go with.
So it was
General Jeff.
it was this colonel, and I was just a senior airman at the time, and he wanted to look at the our secret server room, and it's classification. You have to be on an access list to get in there.
This is some Mission Impossible type stuff.
You got to be this tall to ride this ride.
Yeah, so I had the colonel there, the inspector, and the other people with them, and I wouldn't let him into the room because he's not on the access list. And they were like, "Well, we can get around this by saying if you can visually identify someone, if you recognize them, then that's grounds to allow them into this room." And I said, "Well, I've never met this dude. I don't know who he is, so he's not getting into the room." And they were all like, eventually, okay, you passed. This isn't like off the record. You did good, airman. Now,
After they've berated you and screamed.
No, I didn't get in trouble. They said, no, you did exactly what you're supposed to. But
is this like when I stand at the SOC door and you don't let me in? Same thing.
Yeah, and actually, it was kind of funny because there's an older story. If you've ever heard of Curtis LeMay, the Strategic Air Command general from decades and decades ago, it was a similar scenario where there was this guy guarding this building, and Curtis LeMay, everyone knows who Curtis LeMay is, right? Well, he walked up to the building and said, "I need to get in there," and like the guy would not let him in. And finally, this is right in the middle of the Cold War, the guy pulled his gun on Curtis LeMay and stormed off the general stormed off, and then eventually the guy he was given a promotion because he wouldn't let this guy into the building. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, military treats that stuff very seriously.
So,
But to that end, like if you come in with rank and that kind of thing, it can intimidate people. So
got it. Well, fascinating. Everyone has I never broken in anywhere. I stole a candy bar one time. That's it. That's all I got.
Just one candy bar?
I might have stole more than one.
Funnier story. So we had at our old building, we had one of our higher ups got locked himself out of his office by accident and left the key in his office. And so one of our SOC guys like scaled the wall, pushed the ceiling tile up, and went over and fell in his office and got the key.
That's
So
hilarious.
again, it's laziness and simple things
Sometimes
that
it's
usually
simple.
get you in.
I'm surprised the analyst didn't have a lockpicking set in his pocket.
Yeah. That happened the other day, actually. So, funny story is one of the guys left the cage key to our colo that we have at home, and he's like, "Oh crap, I gotta go home." And when the analyst goes, "Oh no, here," hands him a lockpick and goes, "You can get in with this." It's like, I don't think we can go to our secure data center with a lockpick here.
That reminds me, one of our guys on the BDR team, he got all his stuff stolen, including his work laptop, out of his Planet Fitness locker, and he goes, well, they cut the lock. I'm like, you know how big bolt cutters are? It takes to cut a lock. I don't think you're just walking in with a hockey bag with bolt cutters. He's like, yeah, well, he picked the lock then. I'm like, I don't think he picked your lock at Planet Fitness, buddy, to steal your clothes and your laptop. So,
Isn't that combination locks too on those?
yeah, I don't think he picked it. So,
1, 2, 3. I'm in.
gonna be there for a while.
all right. Very successful physical penetration discussion. Thank you guys for helping educate me a little bit more. Let's jump on to our next segment. Ben, are you going to hang out for the news? You got some time?
Yeah, I think I'll stick around.
Okay, cool. So segment number 3, news of the week. Let's go with headline number 1. Police recovered 300,000 stolen in Spotsylvania schools.
Is that a
phishing
real
attack.
place?
I don't know.
It sounds fake.
It sounds fake.
Spotsylvania?
Spotsylvania. It sounds like a
Spotsylvania. It's like the Noodlevania.
or like it's from a fake like vampire show.
Yeah, I can see that. Like kids cartoon, Spotsylvania.
All the Dalmatians settled.
There you go.
So let me read the quote from this. This is from tripwire.com. On August 15th, Virginia State Police announced that it had reclaimed over half the amount of money stolen in a phishing attack against the Spotsylvania County Public Schools. The law enforcement agency subsequently handed over checks totaling $347,000 and some odd change to the Spotsylvania County Government Treasurer's Office. It went on to state that it would deliver additional checks to the Treasurer's Office over the following weeks. Okay, so I got some questions with this for you guys. Maybe you don't know, maybe you do know.
Dude, shout out for getting the money back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a happy story for once.
Yeah, that's why I put it on the list, because we're always talking about people getting hammered and not getting their money back. So in this case...
It's like robbing the drug dealer, right?
Yes. In this case, they actually had stole $600,000. And it was about, they put like a turf football field at this high school. That was a big part of the cost. So how are they able, so 2 questions. How are they able to get the money back? Is that like a forced thing? Like they went and got it and forced the bank to give it back? Do you guys know? I don't think it's said in this article.
My guess would be that maybe they gave some kind of bank information to the actor, and then they looked at the transfer records or something and were able to figure it out that way. Because, I mean, there's had to have been a record of that money being transferred, and then they probably looked at the account that it was transferred to, using the various channels that they have.
And it's kind of interesting. So that makes sense, because they did this random $347,010.39 back out of the $600,000, and they're doing more. So they're trying to get more of the transfers back. Is that kind of what it's saying?
Yeah. The question is, did they recover Bitcoins? Is this like FDIC insured money back?
Was this? I'm not familiar with this story. Was this done through a wire transaction? Does it give you any information there? Is it just money lost and then money recovered?
It doesn't say in this article. This is from
Chris
today.
likes to pick obscure articles that makes us guess.
I mean, coming from the financial industry, I can only imagine it being like swift wire transfers, or if they got money back, though, it's probably more likely that was just.
I'm going to pretend like they got Bitcoins and they raided them and got their Bitcoin wallet and refunded it.
Refunded their money.
That's what I'm going to pretend in my head, because it sounds cool.
To your point, Ben, though, don't you have to like verify that an account exists before you can transfer money to it, and like that the ownership is...
Well, it's pretty easy to open an account in the Caymans and have it exist.
it is?
Yeah, but it again, to Jeff's point, it's if you can create these accounts elsewhere, and as long as the routing number to the appropriate bank is there, and then you end up getting these things routed to banks that aren't necessarily always, like your Wells Fargo.
Have you signed up for any online bank accounts? It requires a social security number, and that's about it. I mean, it's super fast.
Yeah.
You get some fake social security numbers, and you can sign up for an online bank account with a routing number almost instantaneously.
Yeah, it's true.
That would be an interesting study to see if you could replicate like a fraudulent transfer and do it all legitimately where both parties are aware of it, but see how easily and how quickly you could do it. That would be a neat study.
And we'll publish the results of that on AutoZoneBenefits.com.
There you go.
Inside joke for Ben, sorry.
Yeah. So Chris is also a shady character.
He does seem like it.
I've done some questionable gray hat stuff. All right, so
Wait,
good.
I thought he only stole 2 candy bars.
From a physical standpoint, yeah. So
he's very good at stealing ad traffic, though.
Yeah, that's why I got a job here.
I will say this is a pretty good hit though, because they did enough research to know that the school had just had a new synthetic turf football field installed. So they clearly researched what they were going after, and that was probably their end, because the person in charge of the money is like, oh yeah, we just had that installed. Here you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
But anyways, good news for once. People got some money back that got stolen.
About half of it though. I mean,
Shout out to Spotsylvania.
Shout out.
Another 250K still floating around out there.
I know. Well, they said they're going to, in the subsequent weeks, they're going to send more.
Good news,
so.
Dave. If you send him $1,000, the Nigerian prince will send you the other half.
Just good people, you know what I mean?
Just solid, not a scam at all. All right, so I picked another crazy headline for you guys because I felt this week I would just get, I'm leaving on vacation for a week, so I feel like I have to just throw curveballs at you guys. So headline number 2, Second Life. Remember that?
Yep.
Oh,
Is
I didn't know it was still around.
yeah, I don't think it can ever go away because what I was told is it's actually real life. When you go on there and you talk to people, they don't say it's Second Life. They say it's real life.
Yeah, that's what
Isn't
I've
this
heard.
like that movie? What was that movie that came out recently about the game, like being in the game?
Ready Player One.
Yeah,
Ready Player One? Yep. So Second Life is plagued by security flaws, ex-employee says.
No way.
So this is a salacious article. So again, if you guys
Whoa.
our next 2 articles are a little bit more adult and deal with some adult themes. So if you are easily offended,
Have you ever been on Second Life?
No,
You should check it out. It's adult themed almost everywhere you look.
Yeah, I figured. So
It's the red light edition of the Hashtime Show.
yes, as you guys know, I make my kids listen to the podcast. So this is a point where I'm gonna turn it off for them. So if your kid's listening now,
He's forcibly getting viewers.
I'm forcing our
Play this when you get to school for everyone.
So, in a lawsuit filed in San Francisco County Superior Court on July 30th and served to Linden Lab, which is the company that does Second Life. This lady's name I can't pronounce. Her last name is Perlman. A security researcher who joined Linden Lab from Facebook in 2017 says she raised these issues during her tenure. These are security flaws and issues, and was met with hostility. The suit alleges company executives retaliated against her for flagging cybersecurity risks and potential violations of anti-money laundering laws, child exploitation, and data misuse.
Shocking. Second Life. Huh?
Yeah. So this story is very politically charged too, because it's another one of those stories where she's claiming that she was discriminated against because she's an Indian immigrant who's Muslim and she wore like a hijab to work. So there's a lot of like political stuff wrapped in this as well. But I wanted to bring it up from a standpoint of, is this like a Silk Road situation where Second Life's letting illegal? There's some stuff in here about molestation and child exploitation. Is that happening on there? Are you guys familiar with that at all?
When Second Life first came out, yeah, but I have not been in that since then, so I'm sure it could happen. I don't know for sure.
It's a conduit for it, right? You've got this platform where real money's being exchanged for virtual goods. It's a point for people to connect and exchange ideas. So I think you can look at it, as more of an immersive social media platform, right, with a mechanism for actually transferring money.
I think the problem is when she starts getting into this child exploitation stuff, like any service that you can sign up for,
Facebook, anything,
has
WhatsApp.
no way of verifying that you are as old as you say you are. So how, devil's advocate, how is Second Life supposed to address that?
Sure. It's kind of crazy.
Well, I think it could be that 2 parties could exchange in Second Life, the ability to do this as well, right? Just like using, Tor or something else, they could use Second Life too. Hey, Chris, you want to buy some drugs? Yes,
No,
Jeff, I would
no,
like to.
those are illegal. No, I don't.
Man, imagine exfiltrating.
But I'll send you some money anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine exfiltrating data via Second Life. That'd be some real Matrix stuff. Right
Let me know when that concept is done, Dave.
Does that go in the movie with Packet Man? He goes into Second Life. And
Yes, that is a fantastic
See,
idea.
we're building the script. We're working on a movie, a cybersecurity movie.
Oh, really?
Cyberdog.
We need another one of those?
It's starring Cyberdog.
Yeah.
Cyberdog.
Yeah, it's gonna be like superhero theme, but also cheesy. I don't know. It's gonna be. We're working on the script as we do the podcast every week. We kind of add
gotcha.
to it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, at
updated.
some point, we're going to be so filthy rich for selling the movie idea.
You won't be able to
that
do the
we won't be able
podcast
to do the
anymore?
podcast anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, but hey, at least we did.
I got Ridley Scott on speed dial.
So last thing on Second Life, believe it or not, so it launched in 2003 with
Oh, wow,
about
it's
a
been that
million.
long.
What's that?
It's been that long.
Yeah, it launched in 2003 with about 1 million users, and it still has estimated 800,000 as of 2017. So it hasn't really dropped off that much. I mean, obviously there's probably been churn of different people, but anyways, so it's still moving. And so if you're on Second Life, be aware there's security flaws in that platform, or there's allegedly security flaws in that
And bad guys.
and bad guys. All right.
Don't let your kids play.
Yeah,
Don't let your
I
kids
would
on
not
there.
let your kids play. No.
My kid plays this game called Roblox. Have you guys heard of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people trying to scam on there and messaging him and hey, and you do this and get free robot. Because I had to explain to him about like you can't get free money through the internet. That's usually a scam. So yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, what is Bitcoin?
What is it? What's Libra?
Isn't that free money?
Isn't all money just sort of fiat?
Oh man, it's getting
Now we're getting meta.
This is so
You know,
deep.
back in the day when Bitcoins were like $3, I lost a wallet that had like 10 Bitcoins in it.
No, you didn't.
I swear to
That's
God.
pretty common.
no.
I know
Yeah.
a few people now. They're like, yeah, I had like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, and
Yep.
they just lost the
What's a
wallet.
Bitcoin going for as of today? Do you guys know?
I don't know. It's above $3,000.
I think it was last I saw was maybe a few weeks ago. It was like 17,000 again. It crawled up to.
Is
or
it really?
something.
Wow.
I think it did. It's been fluctuating a bunch.
That's a big hit, Jeff.
I remember
Could've
last
bought a
year the
car
big
with that.
story. What is it? Is that it had broke 10K and then it like crashed back down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at $10,419.80 as of this podcast.
Jeez.
Well, I don't own any of it, so I don't care.
Shout out to Bitcoin.
I would have had $31,259.40.
Oh my god.
That
Yeah,
is
you could have bought like a Hyundai with that.
Don't tell my wife.
What about a Dodge Stratus?
Ford Escort.
I have a Dodge Stratus.
There it is.
Yeah, I know. I know the inside joke. So
I did not.
no,
you didn't know
You
that?
never saw the Will Ferrell skit? Oh, it's
Oh, no,
classic.
actually, I did not see that movie.
I
No,
drive a
it's on-
Dodge
it was on
Stratus.
Saturday Night Live.
SNL.
No, I did not
It's
see
a
that
very
either.
famous Will Ferrell skit.
Nope, did not.
I'm with you, dude. No clue.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? Now
We're
gonna
too cool for you
Hold
guys.
on. We're having fun. You're not gonna hear it then, but Jeff will.
Oh, I'm wondering, based on how you move that slider, how loud this is gonna be.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Let me make sure.
You got us good last week.
Hold on. Let me hold your.
Bring your own phone. Well,
Okay.
your own real phone when you switch to Google Fi.
You got
A phone
YouTube
plan
ads. Sorry,
by
I don't have
Google.
ad blocker on.
I can't believe it. What?
2 ads.
Promotion give Kevin a big head? No, I can't.
Yeah, they do
believe
2
how
ads
easy
for
it is
everything.
to
sorry,
do
I'm
this.
gonna-
Both barrels here.
Even if you pay for YouTube, you have to deal with that crap.
It's horrible.
Oh, this is the whole skit.
You just need to skip to the.
Are we really doing this again where we're on a podcast watching a video?
We're not even watching a video. We're listening to a video.
And I can't hear anything.
Talk to
So.
me like that. I am a division manager.
Oh, I hear it
That is
now.
very important.
Do not raise
Very
your voice
important.
at me or
coming.
at
Don't
Garrett.
talk to
Do
me
you
like that.
understand?
People are
You-
scared of me.
Why would anyone be scared of you? I hate you, you big fat turd.
This is an SNL skit. Go Google it. Dysfunctional family dinner. Where's it coming? Hold on.
Drunken witch.
Now you're skipping on a podcast. Fantastic.
Sorry.
This is some good pod.
This is bad.
Wouldn't call me.
I am a division manager. and
Yeah, it's coming, I promise.
my people.
Shut up, bitch.
I drive a Dodge Stratus.
That's your Bitcoin you lost right there.
Wow,
Love it.
All right. Sorry, listeners. I needed Jeff to hear that.
you lost me.
Okay.
We'll-
sorry.
We'll cut that out.
No, we're not. I don't edit the podcast. All right. Okay. Super warning. Next topic is adult. So adult in nature. So everybody, if you're you're easily offended, turn the podcast off.
We have
now.
lots of teenage
listeners,
elementary school hackers and watchers here.
All right. So I'm going to edit this a little bit to make it a little bit more professional, work appropriate. Headline number 3. A DEF CON hacker talks security, consent, and why he hacked a personal intimate device. It's from Gizmodo if you guys want to go look it up.
That's our revision of the title
of the
article.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to revise it a little bit. So
it does not actually say a personal intimate device.
It does not.
What does
say
the
that.
title say?
I can't say.
It involves a personal intimate device.
We're keeping it PG-13.
We're keeping it PG-13. So let me read the quote. I had to bring this up because, Ben, we try to do whatever we can, the stupidest thing in cybersecurity, and this was sort of like the craziest thing in cybersecurity, so we had to bring it up.
It's pretty funny.
It's pretty humorous. So especially this first line of this quote. Voting machines weren't the only thing getting penetrated at DEF CON this year.
Great choice of words. I love this.
This is a quote directly from Gizmodo.
Gizmodo, yeah.
When most people think of the Internet of Things, the IoT, they think about light switches, voice controls, and doorbell cameras. But over the past several years, another class of devices has also gained connectivity, those for personal, intimate uses. On one such device, the bleep, 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 go look it up on the Gizmodo, advertised as the world's first redacted, became the subject of Sunday morning's DEF CON talk this year after a hacker named Shmia, I think, managed to exploit not only the device and its associated computer dongle, but software used with it for social interaction. Read people remotely playing with each other's personal intimate devices.
I mean, it's not hard to figure out what this is. That was kind of a weird description.
Yeah, sorry, I had to keep PG-13.
Yeah, I mean, there's Bluetooth devices that people can wear.
Yes.
That you can interact with remotely over the internet.
Yep.
Between consenting individuals. That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
In case that butchered description.
I can just imagine either two scenarios. One is a kid playing on the computer with his mom coming in and saying, "What are you doing?" Or someone having to explain to their wife what they're doing with these things.
See, and I'm thinking more like we would run around with a small computer and a Bluetooth broadcaster, and we just look around the audience, going to really crowded places, and see who's wearing these things.
People start to shake.
So we were talking about this, texting back and forth last night when I first read this, and I just was thinking of all the ridiculous scenarios that we live in now in 2019. Like, imagine that this is attacking your toaster or your refrigerator, or there's a whole botnet of these things.
Oh, it's coming.
I'm sure it's already here, and it's just a hilarious.
It reminds me of the Samsung thing. Remember the same, defrag your TV, defrag your oven. As Jeff said, yeah.
Yep.
It's
Is there antivirus for this?
Yeah.
What do they call it?
That's it, Dave. You just got to build your own AV for these personal intimate devices.
Are you wearing protection?
Oh my god! Dave's getting red a little bit.
Sorry,
that's a good joke. This exact wasn't remote hacked, but this exact topic was a horror movie. I can't even talk about because the horror movie is so inappropriate. But yeah, it's on Netflix. If you go find it,
a horror movie. Right?
I do not watch horror movies.
They killed the guy using one of these type of devices.
Oh
yes. So, anyways,
no thanks.
You don't watch horror movies at all?
Heck no.
I love horror movies. You don't like the
I had a girlfriend in high school break up with me because I refused to watch a horror movie. Like it's not my thing. Like I just think they're stupid. I don't like getting jumpy. Like it's not even that it scares you. It just makes you jumpy, and I just don't like getting jumpy.
Have you ever watched a scary movie?
Yes.
What's the best scary movie you've ever seen?
None, because they suck.
That's not an answer.
So I'll tell you this. I lived in the Bay Area.
What about Chucky?
All right, Chucky was good. I lived in the Bay Area, and I saw the movie The Ring with this girl, and I had to cross the Bay Bridge in the middle of the night in huge dense fog after we saw it.
What's wrong with that?
I got home, and I had like this 36-inch back in the day, like full TV, probably weighed 400 pounds. I literally He-Man that thing out of my bedroom and put it on the floor in the living room and locked my bedroom door.
Wow. It was a puckering moment for you.
Hey,
throwback.
It's not even worth chancing it at this point.
All right, let's move on. Anyways, if you're listening out there, go look up the Gizmodo article. It is quite funny. You can read it uncensored. All right,
and I have to point out, dude's got skill.
Yeah, solid. He's got cred, right? Okay. Segment number 4, breach of the week. New data breach has exposed millions of fingerprint and facial recognition records. This is something that one of our developers sent over to you, right, Jeff? He wanted us to talk about. So this is from Forbes.com. I'm going to kind of read a snippet of the quote here. Facial recognition records, fingerprints, log data, and personal information has all been found on a publicly accessible database. The damage is not yet clear, but the report claims that actual fingerprints and facial recognition records for millions of people have been exposed. What does this mean, guys, to us? Just welcome to the world of no privacy?
This was bad.
This was bad.
Well,
That's it. That's all.
goes to physical
Just
pen
know that
testing.
when cloning is available, everyone can be cloned.
Yep. Yeah, that's. We should just think of it
Down
that
to
way.
the exact detail, Dave. It's coming true.
But like to the physical pen testing discussion, this is a big deal, right? Because you've got all these new security systems. We used plenty of them in the banking industry, where we would tie, physical to virtual in the sense of credentials being in Active Directory. I mean, it gets to a point where you don't need to be physical to get physical access to certain facilities, right? You can hack into AD. You can find other ways to get into these systems, compromise security systems, vice versa. So this is a bad data leak if what they say is really in it.
I think this was originally a Guardian kind of research report. Yeah. There's a very long write-up on Forbes.com about this.
I mean, imagine you can steal a fingerprint, implant it into your phone or some device, and be able to then use your fingerprint to trigger their account.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very X-Men, Mission Impossible style stuff. Actually, if you're X-Men, you're just Mystique and you just transform into the person.
Still better.
Still cooler. All right. Breach of the week over with. All right, let's get on to where are we at here on our time. Oh, we're doing good. Okay, we're not getting too long. Let's get on to our last segment of the week. This is going to be what I dubbed our war shipping discussion. And the reason why I brought this up is I found this war shipping article on TechCrunch where people are putting like Raspberry Pis in mail and like Amazon packages and shipping them over to places. And I brought this up this week with Ben on because it's kind of a physical pen testing type of thing, where they were basically, this is a way of they're able to hack the facility, put this device, hide it inside of a box, it gets shipped in, so you don't even have to break in, it just shows up for you.
Yeah.
So war shipping's a real thing then. I thought it was a fake word.
So back in the day, it kind of started off with war driving, I guess you could say war walking, war driving, walking around, driving around, trying to find Wi-Fi, then, war chalking, where they would write the SSIDs and passwords on walls or the floor or whatnot and get access. And
why is it called war? What's the word? Because we're storming
So
forward?
back in the day, it was called Wardialing. So we used to use modems, to dial random telephone numbers to get access to, before the internet, you had same kind of systems, but they're listening to
War
dial.
Games, actually. Is it from the War Games movie? Is that where it's from? Because he did that.
Well, it's
right?
not from the movie, but the movie used it. Yes.
Oh, okay, the movie used it. Okay, got
So
it.
Wardialing is really where it comes from.
Yeah, and that was just mass dialing to try to find some modem
Carriers,
answer.
yeah,
You can
systems
connect to.
out there we can connect to.
That was the plot. That's what Matthew Broderick's character did in War Games. He dialed and got into the DoD or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, but kind of the realistic is they'd put like thousands of phone numbers in a software or hardware solution that would just keep going through them.
Yep. Tone loc was a good
Exactly.
one.
So not like Matthew Broderick where he just picks one number, calls and gets in.
lucky.
No, sometimes it took, especially on old phone systems. If it was back in the day, it was like if you were unfortunate enough not to have ESS or DMS type phone system, an electronic phone system, war dialing was typically it was just painful as all hell.
Yeah, and this is kind of funny because not too long ago, they had the Lime bikes all over Scottsdale, and one of our guys happened to go, I'm gonna go grab one of those and I'm gonna war bike. And
Not knowing it was a real term.
And not knowing it was a real term. Actually, if you go to the wiki page for war driving, it talks about war biking and war cycling and links off to war flying because you got drones now.
Yeah, I think the drone setup in today's day and age would be incredibly useful.
So Dave and I had a long discussion on this, and we think we've come up with some good terms and some good solutions.
So what else can we add to this wiki? That's what I really want.
So first off, we're going to start with warboarding, right? That could be a skateboard, a wakeboard, a snowboard,
I was thinking
a hoverboard. So warboarding.
So hold on. So you're like on a wakeboard trying to hack Wi-Fi? Is that what's going on?
Heck yeah.
Why not? Multitask.
Okay.
But now they've replaced all the bikes around, Phoenix, Scottsdale with scooters.
So you're war scootering.
You're war scootering.
Got it.
Or war scooting.
War scooting.
War scooting.
I like war scooting.
More scooting.
Yeah.
But I think one of the big ones that Dave and I are very keen on is, Google, Microsoft. They've announced one of them. I don't remember which one, Dave. Do you? One of them announced they were going to put a underwater shipping container.
I think it was Microsoft.
Microsoft, yeah, they're going to have an underwater shipping container data center. Well, now Dave has invented war scuba-ing.
Or just war scuba.
War scuba.
Yeah.
And I'm
War
going with
scubing.
war submarining or war subbing.
Yeah.
Okay. War submerging.
Yeah, war submerging.
What's the underwater container supposed to do? Just way to ship?
Way to cool.
Yeah.
Reduce energy usage.
Oh, produce energy. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And in doing so, raise the temperature of the ocean.
Yep.
And destroy the planet.
Welcome to being human.
We're going to have really cool data centers and all the fish are going to be dead.
That reminds me when I first started, I was getting.
Well, why didn't we just start putting them in the North Pole and Antarctica?
Well, polar ice cap melting, things
We'll just
like
melt
that.
them all and flood the Earth.
Waterworld, baby. Great movie.
Seriously, though, I think the first person to put a data center in space is going to have the edge. Because it's as cold as you can get, right?
That's a
There
good
we
point.
go.
Let me call
Except the
Elon.
radiation, though, we got another problem to solve.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But, you can shield things.
Bits
It's
change
not
and-
impossible.
yeah.
Yeah. That is a good point, though.
The first time the first week I started working, I met Ben and we're talking about getting paper printed for a trade show or something. And Ben goes, "Yeah, man, burn the planet." Kind of like, you don't need to print all that shit. But,
Well, this has spawned off because we think you could war cook or war cooking, right?
What?
So you're gonna just get jobs at restaurants to implant the device, or better yet,
War
Dave
chef.
and I have invented a line of purses, including man purses, and we're calling it war shopping.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So it's
You might
got
have
Raspberry
something there.
Pis embedded in purses and bags and backpacks that you can go around stores and you can war shop.
So it could be any movement type thing. It could be war jogging, war hiking.
Heck yeah!
I think
war
we need to-
jogging.
war,
I'm in.
war rock climbing, war lifting.
I think we need to think outside the box, too. Why not put hacking devices inside artillery shells and missiles so that way we can hack them before we attack them?
Hack them before we attack
Double
them.
duty, right?
That's going to be the subtitle of the movie. We don't have the movie title yet, but it's going to be like cybersecurity movie. Hack them before you attack them.
So
That's the subtitle.
So I've got an add-on to that.
Okay.
We can start a teddy bear company and load every teddy bear in America.
War bear?
War bear.
War bear?
That's horrifying.
That's like Chucky. That's the plot of Chucky.
There's probably some fringe element of our audience that just took that idea to heart and is going to start cranking out these things.
Yeah, we could be the impetus for some
Well, they
really
had the bear,
dangerous
right?
stuff.
That you could that had Wi-Fi that got hacked and talked.
The
People
na-
talked.
Oh,
to
that was the
kids
creepy
through
bear
it.
with
Yeah,
the
creepy
camera
one.
and stuff.
the nanny
Yeah.
cams and all that. Yeah, war nanny.
Is that like a Jetsons version of a nanny?
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the movie Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson?
Yes, that was a great,
Pretty
movie.
classic movie.
No, but I have seen Ransom. Give me back my son. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I love that line. It's
So,
just
for
ridiculous.
those that haven't seen it, Mel Gibson plays a conspiracy theorist who, won't spoil it, but he has a lot of insights and, it thinks he's being tracked by the government. But imagine if you received a box and then you saw within this, you opened it up and you had some little Raspberry Pi and an antenna in there, how horrifying that would be. The reality of that, if you think about it, would be just so disturbing.
Your kid's hugging your teddy bear and an antenna stabs through its head.
Oh God. So
That'd be bad too.
Come real quick. Are you guys hearing the alarms outside? Is something going on?
Oh yeah, there's
I
like
wonder
fire engine or
I don't
something
know.
going by, and I just keep hearing it in the microphone.
Sorry, listeners,
Yeah.
if you can hear that, there's
It might be coming for
the apocalypse
Chris.
is happening outside. Yeah.
Just the two candy bars.
Yeah.
Well,
they're
we
coming
did
for me.
talk about it on the podcast. Is there any guns in the office again?
Yeah. Is there we have a gun in the sock?
Nope.
Sock in the box.
Sock attack?
Nope, I
Sock
don't think
attack.
so.
Sock attack. All right. So what other wars do we have? So now that we're brainstorming here, what other wars do we have, or is that it? Are we
I
done?
think I'm in on the war jogging. I think you got
jogging.
some Raspberry Pis in your jogging pants, and you go for it.
What about war planking?
Oh, there
you
you
can
go.
plank.
Or
yeah.
war pimping.
War. Zing.
We already told you guys it wasn't a safe podcast for children.
Hashtag red light edition.
Hashtag but war pimping. Yeah. Keep that pimp hand strong. What else?
I distance myself from this podcast.
I'm out now.
I'm leaving.
Dave just pulled the ripcord on the podcast. You could, you could do anything physical. Could be war related.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I'm gonna go go coin some of these terms, get some trademarks going.
Put it to the wiki. Okay. You heard it here first, listeners.
You ever seen the Slavic guys that like squat, and the Adidas?
Yeah.
War squatting.
War squatting. I like that. War cleaning. Yeah. War overhead pressing. I'm just can't go too deep, I guess.
Back to the fitness, Chris. Your cyber fitness.
War wrestling.
War drinking.
That's a good one.
War drinking's good. What if you're touring in a band and you're war rocking?
I'm not sure what you'd be hacking in the middle of a stage, but sure.
I don't know.
That seems like a stretch.
The arena Wi-Fi. Yeah.
War sporting.
War sporting. Okay, I'm with you. When you go to an arena and you're hacking, yeah. Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
I don't have anything. I have a tenuous grasp
These
of
are
the
just
concept.
getting stupider and stupider as we go.
All right. On that note, we'll leave on a whimper. Just kidding. Hey, guys, we appreciate you joining the show. Anything else to add before we exit for today, guys? We end the show? No?
I think we need a sound effect on your board, like a wah wah.
Okay.
Wrong one.
Oops. There we go.
Boy, it took you 4 tries.
I can't hear that. I should really memorize.
You got to
the
name
sound
the
effects
buttons
are.
or something.
You got to put a label on there.
Next week, I'm going to have different sound bites that are custom on the board.
Now you're lying because you just told the viewers you were gone next week.
I mean next podcast week, okay? So anyways, Ben, we appreciate you coming on today, man. It's been awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Once again, it's been Jeff. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, we forgot to give the warning. Please do not physical pen test without approval from, both parties and legal wordage.
Correct. Do not take this podcast as a way to war shop or war bike or physical pen test in any way.
Thank you.
War scuba.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Hashtime Show. I'm your host, Chris, and thanks again to Dave, Jeff, and Ben, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Later.
Hey, I don't care if you're pregnant, you need to badge in.
Thank you for listening to the Hashtime Show. Check us out online at hashtimeshow.com.
The mic check is Gucci. I got Ridley Scott on speed dial.